Now, Dragon Age Veilguard. What you need to know. Dragon Age World, I'm so nervous. I'm presenting in front of my chat. It's like presenting in front of the class, man. There are a bunch of different races in Dragon Age. This isn't all of them, but it's pretty much the only ones to note and probably the only ones that are going to specifically come up. Elves are the first one. Elves are split up into two groups. You have the Dalish elves and city elves. Dalish elves are elves that live in the forest normally in little groups. They follow super ancient elven ways. They have the Valisleen on their face, which is like the tattoos, which is like actually old ancient elven slavery tattoos, but they don't know that, but let's not get into that. They normally live in like little groups. There's a bunch of different little elven Dalish clans, and they're all over. City elves are for the streets, baby. City elves live in alienages in and all around Thedas. They are little areas that are practically the slums in big cities, and they are treated practically like slaves. Like Dragon Age Origins, if you start off as a city elf, a noble human comes to your wedding, steals all of the women, beats up you and your fiance, and just takes you hostage. Like shit is not great for the elves living in the city, man. I do not believe that the city elves have the Valisleen on their faces, though. That is just a Dalish elf thing. Big elven slave culture into Winter as well, which is where Dragon Age Veilguard takes place. Now, dwarves live underground in cities they've built. They're called taigs. Lots of the cities were destroyed. I think it was during like the first or second blight, but the race is in decline probably because of that. They still live in a lot of tags, but most of them have been destroyed. They're very single-minded, they're very headstrong, but they got wicked good technology. But they also live close to the Darkspawn taint, which is something else I'm gonna get into. There'll be a test after. Yes, at the very end, I promise you, I have questions and a pop quiz, and you guys are gonna have to answer, or they'll be banned in my chat. Now, humans are literally the worst, okay? Humans are, for real, the most controversial. They're always causing issues. I think they've united together like a total of 4 times in all of the history of Dragon Age. Like, these bitches suck. Humans are so selfish. They follow the Chantry, most of them, which is like the teachings of Andraste, the Maker. It's basically their religion. I'm not going to get into it because there's genuinely too much there. A lot of Dragon Age Inquisition goes into Veilguard, though. I mean, goes into Andraste and the Maker because 2 of the characters follow the religion. Kunari, I'm excited for the Kunari. I actually think that like a lot of people don't like the Kunari design. Oopsies. A lot of people don't like the Kunari design that Dragon Age Veilguard has made. But if you look at like the original design for the Kunari, I actually think that the new Dragon Age has captured the design better than any other Dragon Age. Maybe not 2. I really like the design. I really like the design in Dragon Age 2. The Kun is law. Yes, for the Kunari, they follow the Kun, which is like, Kun is like their code of conduct. It's practically their religion, except they're a lot more strict on it. If you don't follow the Kun and you're a Kunari, you will pretty much be an outcast. They call them Talvashoth, and they're usually like very uncontrollable and violent, though. Like if you're Talvashoth, you're normally hunted down and killed. If you do not follow the Kun and you're a Kunari, for real, you're not, it's no bueno. The last game, Dragon Age Inquisition, showed you that that wasn't 100% true because Iron Bull technically could become Talvashoth, and he was just, you know, rebelling against the Kun, which is super strict. I think the new is the closest to their sketches. I agree. I think the new is the closest to the sketches too, which I like. I don't love the way the new Kunari look. Like, hold on, I'll show you. Like, they look more like this. Like, they've got really big foreheads. And a lot of people hate it, but I genuinely think it's the closest to the design. We really lost the design with Veilguard. I mean, in Inquisition. Like, I like 2 best. Like, this is daddy. He's on my hear me out cake. Okay? Literally, he's on my hear me out cake. All right? So how do they consider other people's conduct non-Kunari? Non-Kunari... Okay, the Kunari stay in their own region. It's very rare to see a Kunari outside of the region which they rule, and I think the Kunari are usually in traveling companion. If I'm not mistaken, it's like Ravane? No. They're never seen outside of their lands with the exception of Ravane, my B. Kun see everyone else as potential yet irrelevant. Yes, and there's a big Dragon Age 2 conflict with the Kun where they try to take over. There's always conflicts with the Kun. The Kunari. The Kunari are trying to take over consistently, trying to take over Thedas. They're trying to expand their region. They're trying to grow, and not a lot of like like if you're a human, if you're a dwarf, if you're an elf, like you're probably not going to follow the Qun. And I think there are some people who try to follow the Qun, but they're non-Qunari and they're treated really badly by the Qunari. Iron Bull, I know. And you know what? This is in my presentation.
No.
Iron Bull. Did you know that Iron Bull is voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr.? Look at this. Iron Bull is voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr. God, I love that little piece of lore. And if you don't know who Freddie Prinze Jr. is, have you seen She's All That? Come the fuck on. If you don't know who Freddie Prinze Jr. is, you have to watch She's All That. One of the most classic 90 movies, man. God, I'm getting into it. He's this massive Qunari who I would 11 out of 10 in every situation. Smash, 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 smash. Okay? Smash, smash. Now, this is like I mean, you could consider this. The only 4 races that you really need to keep in mind are elves, dwarves, humans, and Qunari's. Oh, I forgot to finish the Qunari. They stay in their lane. They're giant mommies and daddies for real. They're huge. I love Qunari. You'll never see a small Qunari. You will always see small elves, though. Elves are super small. Dwarves are obviously super small. Humans, normal sized. Qunari, huge. Darkspawn are humanoid tainted creatures. They are basically like, they have been like very, like they've been tainted by the blight, which is a concept in Dragon Age I'm going to go over in a hot second. They're soulless. They live underground. They're like bloodthirsty. They're like not human. They're not even, they have no concept of human. They're probably the single greatest threat to Thetis because they are the ones that bring around the blight, which is like basically a war. So they basically find and taint old gods, which starts the blight. And there's been like 6 or 7 blights in Dragon Age? There have been 5 blights. Got it. Okay. There hasn't been a blight since Dragon Age Origins then, because you're combating the 5th blight. They're like pretty much like just little armies of soldiers.
Hello.
Tainting old gods is sick, right? They're basically magic zombies, practically, yeah. They will like go deeper and deeper into the underground land where old gods who are slumbering reside, and then they will taint them. And when they awaken with the taint, they will basically order all the Darkspawn to go above land and start a war. And the old god will now become like this puppet that is like a strong war hero for the blight. Am I getting that right? I think so. With the taint. Like the Wild Huntress, kind of like the Wild Hunt, except the Darkspawn are more like, they're not very strong, but they can kind of control the old gods, which are very strong. They're not smart. They're not intelligent. They just kind of move as a unified group together, and they'll even fight each other. Yes, the Darkspawn are like consumption-based parasitic organisms. They're like that's the best way to describe it. They're practically parasites, but bigger, because they have no like thought or mind except to spread and kill. Like that's their drive. That's everything. They have like no, like they don't want anything. They don't even have desires. Like they just want to kill and spread. Now this is probably the hardest slide for me to describe to you, but it's actually super simple. And this is like a concept in Dragon Age that you're going to have to keep in mind. So just keep it in mind, okay? The Fade is a concept in Dragon Age. It is a metaphysical realm tied to Thetis, which is the Dragon Age map area, and it's separated by the Veil, okay? So the Fade is like the dream world, okay? It's where spirits lie, and it's where spirits aren't inherently evil, but the Fade kind of looks like this. It's like this kind of like dark, evil-ish looking place. But the thing is, it's separating, the one thing that separates the Fade from our world is the Veil, okay? Remember that damn Veil, okay? Everyone, except for dwarves, enters the Fade when they're sleeping. But mages can do it consciously. And that's why they're feared. And that's why they're put into the circle to be watched, okay? So all mages, no matter who you are sent to the circle, which is an area that is watched very closely and guarded by Templars. And they control mages practically. And each area has different circles. So like there's a Kirkwall city. There's a city of Kirkwall, and they have a Kirkwall circle, and every circle is treated differently. Like there's a lot more abuse in some circles where the mages are treated really horribly and Templars just reign supreme, and there's a lot of circles that are a little bit more open. But usually mages can't leave the circle and all that good jazz. Like a virus, a zombie virus, kinda, but it won't like, yeah, you know what? Actually, I would say it's kind of like a zombie virus because red lyrium, which is another concept that I don't want to get into because I think it's too complicated. Red lyrium can spread the Darkspawn taint, I'm pretty sure. And it's like a rock that you can be found like really deep in caves, you know? And it usually drives people insane, drives them mad, and they slowly become kind of like corrupted. And so it is kind of like a virus in a sense. The meth of the DA universe, practically, yeah. You have very few encounters with red lyrium, but I'm curious if you'll have more in this game because they already made it a point in the trailer. Don't mages channel their magic directly from the Fade, or did I understand that wrong? That's a good question, Rubix. Does anyone who knows more than me, can somebody answer that? Do mages channel their magic directly from the Fade? Mages who indulge in entering the Fade have a much higher likely chance of possession, in which, like, if a mage gets possessed by a spirit, if they're in the circle and they get possessed by a spirit, they will just kill that mage. Like, it's very frowned upon to have anything to do with the Fade. And one character in particular that you meet in Dragon Age Inquisition, Solus, is a very big part of, like, lowering that thought process, you know? Mages draw magic from the Fade, kind of like necromancers draw power from the dead. Okay. Now, the Veil is a metaphysical barrier between the world and the Fade. Not face. The world and the Fade. But it's not easy to cross. Most people are not crossing the Veil, which is this barrier, basically. Now, this is spoilers, okay? I'm warning you in advance, everything from here on is spoilers for the first 3 Dragon Ages. In the Trespasser DLC in Inquisition, I literally stole this straight from someone on Reddit because they wrote it so well. In the Trespasser DLC, we found out that the Fade and our world were actually one. At some point, there was no Veil. And during a civil war between the leader of the elves, back when they were extremely powerful, back in the day when the ancient elves used to be very, very, very powerful. This is going way, way, way back. They were divided on debate of slavery versus freedom. The elves back in the day had a huge slavery issue. And one of them created the Fade, created the Veil, creating Fade, completely almost wiping magic out from Thetis and the world, and banished all of his opponents to the Fade as well. So lots of lore there, but fuck me, I don't want to get into that. It's just they're probably going to give you and tell you this when you start the video game, so I'm not going to get that into it. Dragon Age Origins is the first Dragon Age game, okay? You're the warden. Cue that badass music, baby. Your goal in Dragon Age Origin is to unite all of the Ferelden factions to combat the 5th Blight. The 5th Blight is starting, okay? And you, whoever you want to be, become a Grey Warden at the very beginning of the game, and you have to gather all your allies, gather all of these different people, and squad roll them up to defeat the 5th Blight. The Blight, this is a much better definition than I gave you earlier. The Blight is a period where Darkspawn find and corrupt an old Divinter god, ancient draconic creature, right? Transforms it into an archdemon and leads hordes of Darkspawn to attack the surface world. Much better. Much better. The Grey Wardens are so cool, baby. I'm getting that Grey Warden tattoo. In war, victory. In peace, vigilance. In death, sacrifice. Characters of note in Dragon Age Origins are Morrigan and Flemeth, okay? Now, Morrigan and Flemeth are probably your 2 most of note characters. This is Morrigan. This is Flemeth. Morrigan is Flemeth's daughter, okay? Flemeth has immortality. This is something you learn in Origins by passing her spirit into her daughters when they come of age and practically stealing their bodies. So she's immortal solely because she has kids and then takes over their body. Morrigan asks the warden to kill Flemeth to end the cycle of possession. So in Dragon Age Origins, Flemeth does not come to possess Morrigan's body. And you can kill Flemeth in Dragon Age Origins, but you don't actually kill her. Flemeth is an awful name. I know. She is a hot mommy, though. They really stepped her up because in Dragon Age Origins, she looked like this. And then in Dragon Age Inquisition, she looked like this. Best Flemeth is Dragon Age 2, though, when she looked like this. Mommy. Mommy, indeed. They knew what they were doing. Mommy. Look at that outfit. Mommy. Okay, I don't need to say anything. Killing the Archdemon. Okay, at the very end of Dragon Age Origins, you have to kill the Archdemon, which is the draconic creature that has been transformed, that is leading the Blight, practically. In order to end the Blight, you have to kill the Archdemon. And the problem is, I'm going to snooze this ad. The problem is that killing the Archdemon will kill you. Whoever lands the final blow. You will have to basically absorb the Archdemon's enemy and it will kill you. So Morrigan, who is a companion in your party, she's this galley right here. She doesn't look like this just yet. She's a companion in your party. She says that she'll smash you. Or Alistair, who is this guy right here. She will smash you or Alistair, whoever lands the final blow. And she will have a baby that absorbs the energy instead of the warden. Which is wild. And you can smash Morgan if you want. But none of this really matters in Dragon Age Inquisition, unfortunately, because the Dragon Age Inquisition doesn't keep the Dragon Age keep, which is a concept I'll get into. My God. Great characters. All of them. They're literally the best. They're all very individual and very fun. And I really like it. Like, they're all very distinct and unique personalities, you know? Like, Zevron literally is a hired assassin who comes to kill you and then is like, I could stick around. Leliana is like a devout... Is she like a devout religious galley? Ogren is a drunk who is struggling. Wynn is a motherly figure. Sten is like this... Oh my God, too good. Oh, you don't need to have this a piece of information right here. This little DLC, I don't need to tell you. But you save the world, but you might die in the process. Like, the warden might die in Dragon Age Origins. It just depends on how you play the game. Hawk, my girl. Arguably the best the best original main character that Bioware has ever made. And I am thinking about Commander Shepard, okay? I am thinking with Commander Shepard in mind. Hawk and Commander Shepard go head to head with the best main character ever written by Bioware. In Dragon Age 2, you are the hero of Ferelden. You in the last game. Sorry, no, you're Hawk. Last game, you're the hero of Ferelden after ending the 5th Blight. Now, you are Hawk in Dragon Age 2. Cue that even more badass music, baby, because this one is a tragedy. Now, this is spoilers for the second game, letting y'all know in advance. This is the saddest Dragon Age by far. Hawk and their family are fleeing their home due to the Darkspawn overtaking due to the 5th Blight that you dealt with in the last game. They're going to Kirkwall. Your whole family pretty much dies. Act 1, depending on what class you choose, your brother or sister dies. At the very beginning of the game. They did so well with the story. I really like the story. Like, they gave Hawk way less, like in Dragon Age 2, you can either be a nice Hawk, you can be a sassy Hawk, or you could be like a don't talk to me Hawk. And they went back to this dialogue system in Dragon Age Inquisition. So it's probably the most notable thing to note from Dragon Age 2 as well, that they went back to this, which is like your character will react in lines and that you don't choose based on of what type of character you've made them. So like if my Hawk is really sassy, my Hawk will just say sassy things and I didn't even pick it, you know? She's just sassy, which I love more than anything. Act 1, your brother or sister dies on the road to Kirkwall. Before you even get there, if you're a mage, your sister will die. And if you're it doesn't even matter. If you're a warrior or a rogue, your brother will die. Or did I get that backwards? At the end of Act 1, if you bring your brother or sister with you, they'll also die. So you're now an only child and you live with your mother. But don't worry, at the end of Act 2, she dies as well. So all alone. All alone, baby. All alone. And then your companion blows up the chantry at the end of the game, which is a huge church filled with people. So you're just running on big low energy in Dragon Age 2, man. Also, Varric is introduced in Dragon Age 2, and he is a very important character. Here's all these pictures of Varric. This is Varric in Dragon Age Origins. This is him in Dragon Age Inquisition. This is him in Veilguard. You meet Varric in Dragon Age 2, and he's such a lovely companion, very fun, but his brother dies. His brother becomes corrupted by red lyrium in Act 1 and dies. You have to kill him. Very fun. We love how dark Dragon Age 2 is. You became an only child, and then Act 2 you become an orphan, Wild. But you have more money than you know what to do with. And I love that concept in Dragon Age. It's like, you're unhappy, but you live in a mansion. Like, ugh. The second game still does have character creation, yeah. I will never customize Hawk, though. Like, the original Marion Hawk is so good. Like, look at her. Oop. She's just as definable as the original Shepherd. But this whole game, you've got a lot, actually, in this one. You learn a lot about Dalish elves. You go on a deep road expedition. You learn about red lyrium, which carries the blight and slowly corrupts Varric's brother. So Varric's brother takes this red lyrium idol that they find down in the deep roads, which is like the underground area, more like where the dwarves are with the tigers. And he takes it because he thinks it's just an artifact, but it contains red lyrium, and he gets corrupted and you have to kill him. There's a Kunari uprising with this daddy right here, who is hot, 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 would smash in any lifetime on every day. He's on my hear me out cake. He might kill lots of people and you have to kill him, but still hot. He's like the leader of the Kirkwall Kunari, who are this little group that gets increasingly angrier as the game goes. But the most important thing about Dragon Age 2, I'm gonna be honest with you, is the Templar versus the Circle issue. You've got a big mage issue in this one. The Circle being that all mages are sent to the Circle once they're revealed to be magic users due to how susceptible they are to corruption. And the Templars are kind of the soldiers that watch over the mages, but it leaves a lot of room for corruption and abuse, unfortunately. And in this one, at the very end of Dragon Age 2, Hawk has to decide who to side with. The Templars, who are about to wipe out the entire Circle of Kirkwall solely because they've always treated the Circle of Kirkwall badly and one mage did something bad, or the Circle, who are super powerful left unchecked, but they're really they just want to survive, you know? But it's really interesting in Dragon Age 2, the dynamic between the Templar and the Circle, because Kirkwall, the Circle is atrocious. And your sister can actually become a mage in the Circle. If she stays alive, they will take her. And she's treated so poorly in the Circle, like it's all she talks about whenever you see her. They did really well with that aspect in DA2, I agree. And it becomes the main issue in Dragon Age Inquisition, which is why I bring it up, okay? Now, in Dragon Age Inquisition, you are the Inquisitor. It has been 10 years since the last game. The Mage versus Templar War has erupted all over Thedas. That issue that we were dealing with here, yeah, it's huge now. It's much bigger. And the Mages and the Templars have almost been completely divided. It starts with the Divine, which is like the maker fucking holy priest bitch. High up priest homie, okay? The goddamn chantry always confuses me. It starts with the Divine organizing a conclave, which is a peace summit between mages and Templars. And right at the beginning, an explosion kills literally everyone there, except for you, who was there for some random reason. And now you have a mark on your hand, which is somehow linked to a massive tear that is open up in the sky called the Breach. The Breach looks like this. It's the whole plot of Dragon Age Inquisition. It's right at the beginning. You start off, boom, you gotta close the Breach. Massive hole. And you're the only one who can close these breaches due to this like symbol on your hand. I'll show you. Like this. It's like basically like an opening that's like that's connected to the breach. And you find out why later. But I'll get into that. Now, the whole game, you're trying to close the breach and bring peace to the war. And the Inquisition is exactly meant to do that. So Leliana from Dragon Age 1, this galley right here, Cassandra, who's new, and I don't have a picture of her, and Solus, this broody-ass elf right here, find you, and they start the Inquisition, which is an organization dedicated to restoring order and cleansing the breach. In this game, you have a lot of choices. You can choose to side with the mages or the Templars right at the beginning. No matter what, Corypheus, who is the ancient god who is controlling this new blight that's coming out, is corrupting both factions no matter what. Wake up, honey. New blight has just dropped. Wake up, honey. This is a little confusing to me talking about the blight and getting into the blight because this is like a fake blight. I don't even know. I'm not gonna even get into it. But there's also a lot in this one. You've got the Orlesian Empire. Hawk may die in the Fade if Hawk is still alive and you bring them back. Ancient Elven temples are found. You learn a lot about the Elven downfall, man. Flemeth, who is this gal from earlier that's trying to take her daughter's life force. All right, this galley has been revealed as an elven god pulling the strings, okay? Lots of elven gods in this one, baby. But the main villain is Corypheus, okay? And he wields this ancient elven orb. And you have no idea how he got it, but he's trying to open this orb, okay? Which is negative. We do not want Corypheus to open this orb, okay? And so we are basically hunting, tracking him down. This is Corypheus, by the way. He's kind of smash. I might put him on my smasher pass list. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's so tall. Like, talk about like a 9'8" king. Like, look at him. He's smash. How many characters have I said I'd smash today? Smash. The orb looks like this. Like this. This is your orb. We trust nobody but ourselves when it comes to how we like games. Period. Because I am the biggest fan of Dragon Age 2. The biggest. Most hated Dragon Age. Everybody fucking hates it. Dragon Age 2 is like fucking frowned upon as the worst Dragon Age. Like, people won't even play it. They won't even consider it. And you know what? They can go fuck themselves, because Dragon Age 2, quite literally, I think, is the best Dragon Age. I'll die on that hill. So clearly my taste is warped and fucked, and I don't need to worry about not liking this one. At the very end of the game, you defeat Corypheus, and the orb is destroyed. Solas, who's been a companion on your team this whole time, you can actually romance Solas, and he's been looking for the orb. He knows a lot about the Fade. He's like, basically he's an elven apostate mage. An apostate is someone who is a mage and they're not in the circle. Like, they're on the run from the circle, or they left the circle, that's what they call them. Who is obsessed with the Fade, and he knows so much information. That's what you know about him in Dragon Age Inquisition. And at the end of Dragon Age Inquisition, it is revealed that Solas is the Dreadwolf, the ancient elven god of betrayal and rebellion. He created the Veil and locked away the other elven gods. This piece of information that I gave you earlier, when I said that at one point the Fade and the world were one, and magic was just like very intertwined into all of the world. Solas is the one that created the Veil, which is the in-between, cutting off magic from the world and pretty much wiping out the entire elven empire. The daddy we romanced. Hot. He looks like an egg, which is why I have egg pictures all over the PowerPoint. Now, it's also revealed that Solas is the one who gave the orb to Corypheus at the beginning of the game, okay? He's the one who started pretty much the entire problem that we've been trying to face this entire time, because Solas was trying to open the orb and he couldn't. Solas was trying to open the orb and he couldn't, so he gave it to Corypheus to open and then just watched us flounder around the entire game trying to fight Corypheus until he could eventually get the orb from him, which he was hoping to get at the end. Trespasser DLC is pretty much the most important part of Dragon Age Inquisition, unfortunately. There's a lot here, but I'm going to run through this really quickly. It's 2 years post-Inquisition. We're deciding the fate of the Inquisition, because the war has practically, we defeated Corypheus, everything is fine, everything is stable, and the Inquisition has grown so large that there's so much room for corruption that the Exalted Council, which is like this council that decides, you know, fucking shit, wants to disband the Inquisition, okay? Mayhem breaks out at this council. You can also get married at this council. Very cute. We travel through an alluvion, which this is a very important concept. Alluvion are these like elven ancient mirrors that lead to the crossroad, which are more elven ancient mirrors that lead to different places. They're basically ways to travel. They're like fast teleport points, practically. They travel to different places all over Thetis, and you can go through the mirrors, but you hardly ever see any mirrors, and they're really rare because they're super old, super ancient shit, and you don't really like have any mirrors around. But way, way more mirrors keep popping up in Inquisition, and in Trespasser, you have a fuck ton of mirrors, man. And you travel through the alluvion trying to find out what's going on. And in Trespasser DLC, the Qunari are using the alluvions to further their invasion. They're trying to destroy Southern Thetis. And of course, we stop that. We save the day. Amazing, top tier, legendary. But at the same time, it's really Solas who saves the day, to be honest with you, because we find him at the end of our path. And we learn also more about the Dreadwolf. We learn that when he separated the Fade from the world, it destroyed their entire civilization, left their world without magic. They had to very much pick themselves back up, which is why Solas is seen as like this villain who kind of destroyed his entire civilization. Yeah. And so then you learn that Solas's plan, this is probably the most important piece of information that you have to remember. Solas's plan is to destroy the Veil and bring back the world of the elves, which would pretty much completely destroy Thedas. So he wants to destroy the Veil, this little part that's separating the Fade and Thedas. But remember everything I told you about corruption? Like the Fade leaves such big rooms for corruption. It's not, like it will destroy Thedas, you know? It will open up the world for demons to come into, and you'll see that right when we start Dragon Age Veilguard. Like it's like the most important thing right when you start Dragon Age Veilguard, that Solas is trying to destroy the Veil. He cuts off your hand and your anchor to the Fade and leaves, and that's how Dragon Age Trespasser ends. Now, I'm so close, baby. Now, these are 4 companions to note going into Veilguard, okay? Solas, our daddy elf, all right? He's a broody elven apostate mage with a deep knowledge of the Fade, but actually the Dreadwolf, the elven mastermind villain. Oops. The game was actually going to be called Dragon Age Dreadwolf, but they've changed it, I believe, because they've kind of sidelined Solas a little bit as the main villain, which I'm not that happy about, but that's okay. We'll see as we go. We'll see as we go. Varric, single-handedly probably one of the most important characters as well. He's a surface rogue Dorth with his trusty crossbow Bianca. He's been in 3 games now, DA2, DA Inquisition, and this one. He's always been a companion. He's super funny. Chest hair is peak. His brother was corrupted by red lyrium. A lot of pain, a lot of trauma. He was with us in Dragon Age 2, so he went through all that trauma with us, baby. Scout Harding was the lead scout for the Inquisition in Dragon Age Inquisition. She would give you little missions, very cute. She's super cute. I wish you could romance her. Everyone wished they could romance her, so I hope you can in this one. This is what she looks like in Veilguard, and this is what Varric looks like in Veilguard as well. They've been upgraded. Everyone's been upgraded, man. Dorian, who I'm not even sure we're going to see, is a gay mage from Devinter who wants to change the Imperium, who, if I don't see, I will riot and I will break things, okay? Now, this is, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to include this slide, but this is just for everyone who didn't know what carries over. You used to have the Dragon Age Keep, which was a super cool website in which you could, oh, don't talk to me about the Dragon Age Keep. I'm so upset, man. Did they shut it down? Can I still go into the Dragon Age Keep? I have to sign in, which you guys are going to see my email. But you can basically edit your tapestry, which is like every choice you've ever made in all of the games. But it doesn't carry over to this game, which is such a misstep on Bioware's part. They hate happiness. They're dumb. Fuck Bioware for this, man, okay? So now only 3 choices matter. Who you romanced, whether the Inquisition was disbanded at the end of the Trespasser DLC, and whether you promised to save Solas or not, or kill him, which is also at the end of the Trespasser DLC. I romance Solas. I'm gonna go either way with being disbanded, honestly. I don't really care. If you don't disband, you basically have to give the Inquisition to the Chantry, which is like the church, which I don't know if I want to go that route, but then I want to save Egg Daddy always. And that's my presentation. That's it. That's the whole run through. Did we like that? Did we enjoy?